is Grace. I've known the author for about 10 over years. We've been friends since JC, and I know that he has spent a lot of his energy and his time and his love, expended a lot of love on this novella, so I hope it receives support from you. So this novella has two protagonists, Professor K, who is a literature professor, and Tang, who is a Singaporean student who is now studying in Lancaster, in England. Okay, and this is part of Tang's portion. Shuffling down the stairwell, Tang reproached himself for walking out on Pamela like that. The doubts, the disappointments, and the uncertainties of starting life as an international student could not be easy on her either. Emerging from the exit with a firm push of the door, he did not stop, not even at the sudden eructation of cool air. Instead, he strode briskly down the cloistered walkway towards Bolan, hugging himself against the wind that was slicing at his face and fossilizing his cheeks. A foreign chill. That, he realized, defined a sort of distance, for he was slowly forgetting the everlasting summer of Singapore. The sting of heat on his skin, the irksome humidity, even the relentless monsoon showers in September. When the desolate University Square came into view, he realized that he must have made a wrong turn at the Bolan Archway. Standing before these steps, he was not sure what to do. Should he retrace his way to Pamela's college? Or should he stay on at this deserted square, which was now hosting winds from the Pennines? Looking at the ghoulish patterns that were flickering on the ground, he realized that it was just like a scene from Victorian novels. And it did lend itself to the creation of a foreboding atmosphere. The watering wind continued to sweep across the square with alien ferocity, whipping up a frenetic air. He decided. Moving across the square, he headed for the library. It was where he knew he could find an old friend. In a passage, a phrase, a word. Sometimes in the most intense prose, he could even find a home in the cadence of a sentence. Coming to the philosophy section on the third floor, he found himself greeted with shelves and shelves of books that were cloaked in utter darkness. He knew what he had to do. Walking between the aisles, the sensor was triggered. Fluorescent lights came on, giving a myriad of colors to the books, the permission to be touched. Watching his hand move along the book spines, Tang doubted his ability to read. Aesthetic and the looks of things, against the tranquility of axioms, analysis of perception, writing in the margins. He picked up the letter and considered its cover for a second before putting it back. Anaxagoras and the birth of physics, approaches to a philosophical biology. He picked up the human identity and bioethics, turned to its contents page, and flipped to the chapter that said identity, what we are, and the definition of death. After reading a page from it, he replaced the book on the shelf. The art of the soluble. What did it mean? Bolzano's logic. Who's Bolzano? The first article began with a quote. The old forms of existence have worn out, so to speak, and the new ones have not yet appeared, and people are prospecting, as it were, in the desert for new forms. Saw bellow. Tang took a deep breath. What did it mean? The old forms of existence have worn out. He tried to ignore the sound of silence that was buzzing in his ears. He thought about his worn-out existence. He tried to remember the only existence he knew before he came to Lancaster. For sure, he missed his family and his friends, but naming was laborious. When listed, durians, kuehs, sambal stingray, laksa, the list became exhaustive. Force. I love reading. I met the author in ACJC, in the humanities class. And I love the English language. I may not be very good at it, but I feel at home in it to the near exclusion of other languages and cultures. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person in this room to feel this way. I think there is a certain breed of Singaporeans who grew up loving English books, to whom the world, the history, the culture of England, of America, but especially England, seems very real, very much a part of us. I mean, those of us who grew up reading Enid Blyton, English teas, so on and so forth. The kind of person who can imagine an Indian summer as used by the British, to whom Dover or Cornwall is yet another part of the neighbourhood, to whom Sherlock Holmes or the Bennets might seem like old friends or slightly irksome neighbours. When I read this excerpt, I feel that Tang is such a person, and I know that the author is such a person. As he has said before in his speech, he wanted to talk about alienation, of the difficulty of straddling between two cultures, which is maybe how Singaporeans who grew up loving English books and reading only English books might feel so. And perhaps similarly for us, we have experienced what Tang did, the loss, the wearing out of an existence rooted in where we were born and bred. And thus, there is kinship in the reading. There is a very intimate recognition, and with this, parts of the story becomes imprinted on one's life, and become yet another shifting lens with which to look out at life upon, like Indian summer, like Dover, like Sherlock Holmes. So what else do I recognize in the story? I recognize the rhythms of daily life that are etched out in it. I recognize the humanness of the protagonists, Professor K and Tang, their need for love, and their need to resolve the aporia in their lives. And I think that for most of us, all these are our lives as well. So I hope that as you read this book, as you journey with these characters, as with other books that you have read and loved, that this book in some small way becomes part of the fabric of your life too. Thank you very much.